Hey, CJ Math students, and welcome to our next set of notes with graphing and linear equations. It's calculating slopes from tables and graphs. So you're going to want to be able to find coordinate points and then plug them right into the slope formula. So your first point here, we can call this point A and call this point B. Doesn't matter which one you call it, A or B, but label them as important. And you've got -1, 2, 3, -4, up 1. So -4, comma 1. And then point B is +2, -2. So +2, comma -2. Remember, it's always the x coordinate, then the y coordinate. So now you're just going to plug them into your slope formula. If you recall from yesterday, that's y2 minus y1 over x2 minus x1. Doesn't matter which one you use first, but as soon as you set them, that's exactly what it has to be. So if I'm calling this x1 and y1 right here, I'm going to do 1 minus -2 over -4 minus 2. Technically, I guess I called those x2 and y2. These guys x1 and y1. But when you KCC here, you'll get your answer of 3 over -6, which can get simplified to -1 over 2, which means you go down 1 and right 2 for your slope. And that makes sense because if I go down 1 and right 2 here, I end up at another point. If I go down 1, right 2, I end up at another point. Down 1, right 2, I end up at point B. So easy way to prove that your slope is actually correct. Also, you got a negative slope here. Your line is a negative sloping line. Everything checks out. All right, let's do another one. So we'll call this point A and call this point B. That was left -1, -2, -3, and then up 2. So -3, comma 2. And left -3 and down -1. Right? So again, y2 minus y1 over x2 minus x1. I'll call this x2, y2, x1, y1. So we have 2 minus -1 over -3 minus -3. Okay? When we KCC, we get 3, over 0, because -3 plus 3 is 0, and this is undefined vertical. So you can go up 3 and right or left 0, or down 3 and right or left 0, and you'll notice if I go up 3, 1, 2, 3, right or left 0, or down 3, 1, 2, 3, I end up on my line every single time. Okay? I'd like you to try to do these two on your own. Finding slope from tables, it's a little bit like plugging in for algebraic expressions, right? So if I give you an equation y equals 2x minus 3, I give you some x values. All I want you to do is plug in your x value and give me your output. So your x value is often known as your input, your independent variable. And then your y value is your output, your dependent variable, meaning that y depends on what you get for x. So when I plug in, I'll say y equals 2. Instead of saying x, I will say parentheses 5 minus 3, which is y is equal to 10 minus 3, meaning that y in this case is 7. Next, I'll say y is equal to 2 parentheses 2 minus 3, which means y is equal to 4 minus 3, which is output of 1. Y is equal to 2 parentheses 0 minus 3, which is y is equal to 0 minus 3, which is -3. And then y is equal to 2 parentheses -1 minus 3, which is y equals -2 minus 3. KCC that. So that's -5. So you can pick any 2 points. You got a point here of 5, 7, 2, 1. I'm getting these from the x values over here. 0, -3, and -1, -5. You can pick any 2 points you want to find the slope. So I'll just pick the first 2. 5, 7, and 2, 1. So if this is x2, y2, x1, y1, 7 minus 1 over 5 minus 2 gets you 6 over 3, which is really just 2, but we're always going to write it as a fraction, 2 over 1. So there's your slope, 2 over 1. Positive slope, meaning I go right 2, sorry, oops, no, I go up 2, my fault. Up 2, right 1 on my slope, right? I'd like you to do this one on your own. Be very careful with this negative, so I'll plug in for you to start y equals negative, and then parentheses 6 minus 2. So when you get into these negatives, y equals negative, and then parentheses negative 5 minus 2. Y equals negative, and then parentheses negative 2 minus 2, and y equals negative parentheses 0 minus 2. And remember, negative negative actually just becomes a positive. Okay? And when you're working with a fraction, y equals 1/2 parentheses, I would just say 4 over 1 plus 7. And work that out. So y equals, in this case, 1 times 4 is 4. 2 times 1 is 2. You could say 4 over 2 plus 7, which really is y equals 2 plus 7, which in that case is 9, because 4 over 2 is 2. So one of your points in this case would be 4 comma 9, right? Then you can do the same thing here. Again, just watch out for the negatives. So like in this one, y equals negative 2/3 parentheses negative 6 over 1 plus 5. So that really equals y equals negative 2 times negative 6 is positive 12. 3 times 1 is 3. So 12 over 3, or just 4 plus 5. In that case, it's 9. So your point here is negative 6 comma 9. Right? But find the slope from those tables. When you're done, show me.